Howdy y'all, welcome back to another video. Thank you guys so much for joining, and welcome to all the new people that have stopped by recently and subscribed since my last video. I really appreciate it, glad you're here too. It's been super exciting, as you can imagine. So today, I wanted to continue my Pitch Bible series from a couple weeks ago, and I want to talk about the next step in constructing my personal Pitch Bible, which is making a logline. And just a brief note, I want to remind y'all that, I'm just a dude with a bachelor's degree. I have some experience making pitch Bibles, but I'm no professional. I don't have any pitching practice. I just do these kind of for fun, I guess. And I'm just talking about my personal approach. I could be totally wrong about everything that I'm saying. Probably not, but you've been warned. I'm not some expert, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, how I'm going about constructing my pitch Bible. So, in general, once you have a basic idea for a story, the first thing that you want to nail down is the general overarching idea of the story. You want something solid and concrete, which is personally something that I struggle with the most, mainly because I used to struggle with solidifying what I wanted my story to be about, because I wanted to be about everything. I wanted to be this grand take-all kind of show where you get so much value and wisdom from it, much like, in my own opinion, a show like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or something super deep and rich in lore and history like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. Something just huge, something that can go on and on and on. And because I just love being in this little world that I've created so much. And so I'm more than sure that the people who created these gigantic grand stories, they didn't go in with the mindset of wanting to create this epic tale of wisdom. And I don't know if they really thought that it would reach and touch the lives of tons of people across the globe. And from what I've seen or read, in my own opinion at least, I think these people just seem to want to write about what makes them excited, what would be a fun story to them. They're not really worried about all the other, fame and fortune, all that kind of stuff, all the glory of the stories and stuff. They just wanted to write something that was interesting to them. It was their passion. And it just seems like really big passion projects more than anything. And I think this is what matters most, just seem to do really well. If you're passionate about storytelling, then everything else, I think, will seem to work itself out in that respect. So kind of to get a little bit more on track, I think it's important to start on your logline and your overview. So a logline is basically one or two sentences describing the main idea and the core of what your story is about. The logline should include an inciting incident, a protagonist, their goals, what's opposing their goals, and the stakes if they don't complete their goal. So I'll show you how I composed my logline. It's actually really similar to how I draw. And what I mean by that is I start off with a rough sketch, and then I keep doing sketches until I get something that I like. Same thing with writing. I wrote down a sentence just to put something on the paper. I, really got to get out of the habit of everybody too, not just me, but everybody needs to get out of that habit of staring at a blank page. It's no, just put something on there and work with that. I understand how, easy it is to get caught up in the void, but trust, once you start off, it'll start clicking. So the logline that I started off with, and this is kind of an older logline, that I made a while back, and it goes, as the sun begins its expansion, threatening all life on Earth, a pessimistic high school student discovers a source of fuel that can make his dream of traveling the stars a reality. And okay, so this was my last logline that I wrote, and this was maybe 2 years ago for the story that I've been drawing for and that I'm currently kind of talking about. That was the logline, and now it's a fantastic start, and it's great because I got something on paper. I have something to work with, and I'm at the bare minimum, which is just starting. And I say this because there were times where, when I have this story in mind, there's so much going on in it that it's how can you possibly put it into one sentence? And I just start thinking of different ways or different words that I can use to structure structure the sentence a little bit better and stuff. But it's no, don't overthink this. If you're writing your logline right now, don't overthink it. Just put something like that and just answer all the questions or all the statements that I made earlier about the inciting incident. Make sure it has that, a goal, stakes, so on and so forth. So now that I have that, I pulled that out of the archives. I'm going to work with that and change up some of the lettering. right? So then I came up with, as a radiated sun scorches the earth, creating nuclear beasts, a young high school student learns how to travel space and save the planet. Okay, so now I gave it a bit more thought and I changed some words around since the start. And now what I'm going to do is compare this to other loglines that I've seen in movies and TV shows and stuff, and I encourage you to do the same. Now, I'm not going to show me doing all of that because, for time's sake, but I mean, literally just go pause the video and go take a look at other loglines and how they're structured and stuff like that. And then now come back to the logline that you wrote and see what's different. I have a ton of resources on my last video showing the different pitch Bibles. Well, I guess my second last video. But yeah, on my Pitch Bible video, I have a bunch of resources. I have Pitch Bibles from Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, Ed, and Eddie, all those different kinds of things. And to my knowledge, I do remember all of them having log lines around the first couple of pages. So yeah, take a look at some of those and, compare and contrast. What words are they using? How are the sentences structured, and what are you doing with yours or not doing with yours that they're doing with theirs? So after doing that, I kept all of what I just said in mind, and then I came up with another logline, and it reads, when the sun's expansion leaves Earth's surface barren and radiated, a pessimistic teen discovers an ancient stone that could lead to humanity's survival as mutant beasts enclose on the last refuge of survivors. So what I did here was I gave a bit more context to the stakes as to why it's important that this story happens. I have a little more context to the inciting incident, and now I just kind of need to fine-tune the words and find some adjectives that I like. But this, just that little bit of research, it's already coming together. It's already coming together. Look at that. Look at that. It's already looking pretty good. IMO. And, giving it some more thought, looking up some better word choices and stuff. Now I have, when the sun's expansion leaves Earth's surface barren and radiated, a pessimistic teen discovers an ancient power that could lead to humanity's survival as mutant beasts enclose on the last stronghold of survivors. Wah, voila, look at that. Look at that. And now I've read this a couple times and there may be some things that I could change in the future, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. Now, for some of you, it may take a couple more tries, maybe more layers of refinement, but as for me, I think I'm pretty good. And you'll know when you hit that point when you keep reading it and you kind of just hit like a wall. You hit a wall, but you're still hitting like all of the main points that I kind of talked about earlier. Once you hit like that spot, I think you'll be good. Because keep in mind, there's so many more layers to the pitch Bible. Don't just get caught stuck in the log line. Really don't sweat it. Make it good, but don't sweat it too hard. You know what I'm saying? So yes, now that I have this, it answers the questions that I want answered. It mentions the protagonist, the stakes, the inciting incident, and most of all, I feel like it describes the story that I want to tell. I think there's enough info here to tell what kind of story this is going to be, or at the very least get your imagination going so that you're interested in what the story is and has to offer. And yeah, I think that's the whole point, because when you pitch this, I think that's what these studio people are, kind of looking for. They just want to see like what kind of story is this going to be. And now that this is more out of the way, we can go to the overview. I'm going to include the overview in the logline because I feel like they're kind of one and the same. Well, when I did my pitch Bible in college, I kind of had them on the same page, and so I'm just going to kind of throw this in here. And I'll be honest, this is a step that I do not enjoy too much because I'm still a little unsure of how I want this story to go. But in general, I think this is where you start to break down your logline and describe in a little more detail what you want to happen. And what I mean by that is you'll be talking about the themes and the action, the underlying story, and what this story is supposed to do for those who watch it. And now that sounds like really crazy and vague. And so the best way that I can describe the overview is kind of like, okay, so for those who have seen Steven Universe, right? And okay, also, this may be like in spoiler territory. Well, not really, it's the logline, but I'm going to talk about some spoiler stuff, I guess, in Steven Universe. And so if you don't want to hear that, maybe skip a little bit ahead. But okay, Steven Universe logline. The logline for, SU is a team of intergalactic warriors fight to protect Earth, but the combination of 3 highly trained beings and 1 quirky young boy leaves the team struggling to overcome the dangerous scenarios that are put in front of them. I don't know if this is the exact logline. I haven't seen the pitch Bible, but this is the one that like there's always, you know, a generic logline on IMDb. That's where I got this from. But I feel like that describes Steven Universe pretty well. That's a good, you know, pitching logline title. But the overview, right? So while this does encapsulate everything, we know, right, that the story is a whole lot more about the crystal gems fighting to protect Earth. This story is also about the growth of Steven, learning who he is, learning who he wants to become. It's a story about discovering yourself, what ideals he holds true to himself and yourself. It's supposed to make you reflect. It's about all the little awkward moments in life and lessons and heartbreaks and friendships, and it's way more deeper than just the crystal gems fighting on Earth. It's not just about a boy fighting with super amazing ultra alien warriors. It's like I said, it's just so much more. I don't really know like how to explain it more than that, but that's pretty much what the overview is kind of for. It's you know, gonna generally talk about the story, but it also talks about like the underlying themes. And yeah, I don't know if that really helps, if that explains it too good, but that's how it makes sense to me. And if you need a more in-depth explanation, again, I highly suggest you guys take a look at the other pitch Bibles that I mentioned, because they definitely do have some overviews in there. Like I said, just write down what you think an overview is and then compare and contrast, see what people are doing, see what people are not doing, compare it to yours. And yeah, just basically describe the core of your story. And now I'm not going to show you my overview. I think that's, you know, giving away a little too much. And I have gotten a couple comments about how people, you know, say that I should share everything, and you know what, I definitely want to, and you will see, but it'll be more as it comes out, more as everything unfolds. I'll start doing that, but for now, the overview, you know, I'm gonna close your peepers off of this one, you know, because yeah, you'll see, you'll get it eventually. If you stay here, if you stay subscribed, I'm not going anywhere. You'll see it. Don't worry. Both of us just got to be a little patient. Although, thank you guys so much for all the wonderful comments about wanting to see my show and supporting my art. I really do appreciate that. It made me so happy. But yes, so that's pretty much all I've been working on this past week is just the logline, the overview. I'm really trying to, you know, get all of this together, but that was pretty much it. That's what I've been working on, and the next thing I want to start working on is the characters, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and as always, see you later, homies.